you how each deal you buy should cost about $700. So who knows what I mean by when I say each deal you buy? Yeah. So really effectively, selling real estate is one, based on relationships, but two, it's based upon your marketing efforts and your lead generation strategies. And so you, as an agent, can actually go out and you can buy leads, you can send mailers, you can do all of these things. You don't necessarily always have to be the one that knows the person that will close the deal. So I think that most transactions, you should, depending on what you're going after, if you're an individual agent and you're not hiring talent or skilled people to do this for you, you should be able to do it for about $700, and it should only take anywhere from 6 to 12 months to learn and develop the skills. And there's probably 8 or 9 different lead sources that I'm aware of that will allow you to do this. So let's go through them. All right, so the very first one is your open houses. So the most common mistake agents make around their open houses is they don't have enough signs, they don't have enough advertising around it, they don't have an experience that people walk into, because when a seller walks into your open house, they should be thinking, wow, I want this agent doing this for me. So it's the same reason when I held my open house in Mililani, Mauka, and I had a, what's the word for a sommelier? I had a sommelier there pouring wine for people as they come in and telling them about the notes of the wine and what it pairs well with and how we have this food. And many of the other neighbors were impressed. It was exciting to them. And so one of the number one things, this guy Kevin approached me and said, Devin, do you do this for all of your open houses? And now I, of course,
yes,
take a seat anywhere. Yeah. And that's why showing up on time is so important. And so they said, Devin, do you do this for all of your open houses? And my answer was, of course I do. This is the first time I've ever done it. And so your open houses, as an agent, this is what you should do. You're going to dedicate $100 to the kid or the person that's going to go out and put out 40 open house signs for you. It's going to take them 5 or 6 hours to put out every single one of the signs. So that's your sign install cost. So question for you. If you have a great open house and you have 50 open house signs, do you think you're going to have more traffic than if you have one open house sign? I would bet so. Do you think you're going to have twice as much? I would bet more. 50. Yeah, 50. Now, but you're not going to put them all out because that's way too much work. That's what we're paying for. Now, you're going to have nice marketing materials. That's going to cost you about 50 bucks. You're going to have your things professionally printed. You're going to have cards. You're going to have packets. You're going to have things that explain, here's what I will do when I represent you as my buyer. Here's what I will do when you are my seller. And you're going to spend $50. And it's not very much. And so that's just a little bit of marketing material. Food. You're going to have food and you're going to have wine. You're going to spend $75 on that. And then you're going to get an amazing lender who might even pay for that for you. They might. And guess whose job it is at your open house to serve the food and serve the wine? Come on. The lenders. Yeah, that's what they're there for. They are our sommelier of the day. So, heads up. Most people will not drink or eat the food. Drink the wine or eat the food. And that's okay. Because the fact that you are offering, and now, by the way, don't do this with like a $250,000 leasehold. Like, do this with like 800, 900, like the type of open house you have attracts buyers that are going to buy that type of open house, right? So if you're sitting an $8.9 million listing, you may get a lot of looky-loos, but a lot of the people that look at that specifically showed up for that house, are going to be in that category. And so now if you're sitting $250K listing prices, you're going to get the same thing. choose your market by the open houses you sit. Sign, sell, marketing, food, wine. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to spend $100. That's it. And you're going to print 100 invitations. And you're going to just drop it off on 100 of the nearest neighbors. You're not even going to knock on the door. All it says is you're invited. It has your name, it has the open house, it has the time, and maybe if you want to get even fancy, it has a QR code that brings them to a landing page to tell them how much their home is worth. But don't get ahead of yourselves. What am I missing? Okay. So here's my challenge. If you do this twice, and you choose a good open house, something that's been on the market for less than 30 days, you have enough signs, you have the marketing material, you can buy a client for $325. My guess is you'll probably have to do 2 of them to get 1 client, depending on your skill level. And this is all you have to do. This is just like a Saturday and a Sunday work, a Friday and a Sunday. This whole thing could be done, call it what, 7 hours? So $325 for 7 hours of work will land you a client. And this is all it takes. Okay, so that is one strategy for how to get a client. Now let's take another one. All right, who here does direct mail? 1, nice. Okay. Who knows, Elle, what is the secret to direct mail? What is the one thing that nobody talks about?
Consistency.
Okay, what else?
Be unique.
Okay, what else? What do you guys think? There's one thing with direct mail that everybody gets wrong. Follow-up phone call, what else? What do you guys think? Come on. Conversion rate, consistent. Come on. Ah, there you go. Todd, your audience. If you want to have a high conversion, if you want to have the funds to be consistent, if you want all of these things, the most important aspect of your direct mail campaigns is the audience. Because here's my question. Do you believe that some clients are better than others? Yeah. So for example, here's a good easy example. If you sent direct mail campaigns to every 5th grader and said, by the time you're 18, I want to help you buy a house. Eventually, if you did enough, would that in a long enough time period maybe convert? Maybe. You might get 1. However, if you chose people, let's take one of our audiences, for example, that were VA, that purchased their home between 2 to 5 years ago with a VA loan, and are out of state. Do you think you're going to have a higher conversion with that audience than you would a bunch of 5th graders? Yeah. What about people in a neighborhood like Kaimuki? What do you guys think? Owners of neighborhoods in Kaimuki?
They don't sell.
They don't sell. Yeah. Yeah, Kaimuki has, I want to call it a 0.25% turnover rate. So everybody write this down. Your turnover rate is the number of homes, is the number of sales in 12 months over the number of homes. So here's what every single person should do. Choose your demographic. So I used to focus on Makakilo a lot. That's all I focused on. Why? Who knows why?
High turnover rate.
So Makakilo had approximately 5,000 homes. excluding lower Makakilo because that didn't have as high of a turnover. And does anybody know how many sales are in Makakilo each year? Take a guess. Come on.
2,000?
325.
Oh, not a lot.
325 sales in Makakilo every single year, every 12 months. And is it safe to say, if in 2022 there were 325, in 2021 there were 345, 2020 there were 315, is it a good guess to say next year there's probably going to be somewhere in that area? Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, you can't guarantee it, but it's close. And so now, now we know that is a 6.5% conversion ratio. Now let's take Kaimuki. How many homes are in Kaimuki? Come on, you guys know this. There's probably about 2,500, 2,000. It depends if you count lower and upper, and if you count East Kaimuki, which is Kahala. It depends how you count it. And how many sales are there in Kaimuki every year? I see like one listing in Kaimuki a month. Like that's it. There's probably one in all of Kaimuki. And so now if, let's say you are going to send, and pretend these numbers are the same, because the size of your farm can vary, right? But let's say these numbers are the same. Would you rather target somebody that has this many home sales or this many home sales, all things being the same? You're going to go after this one. Now there are some differences though. For example, Kaimuki, what's the average price point? 1.2, maybe 1.5. Makakilo, it's about $1 million if you include the condos as well. And so now you have to factor in, are you getting a higher commission amounts? Because we don't look at just the number of sales, we look at volume. We want to know, for every dollar we spend on direct mail, what is the expected volume output? Everybody write that down. EVP, expected volume output. Because our income, which we're trying to grow and scale, is determined by how many homes we sell or how much volume we sell. It's a question. What do you think?
Volume.
Volume, yeah. And so if you have a goal to sell 50 homes in a year, and you could just you had a goal to sell 50 million and you could just sell one $50 million home,
Yeah.
I bet you your life would be a lot easier.
Yes.
Yeah. You'd probably have a lot more things you spend money on because you'd have so much free time. Maybe that would be a problem. And so we, as real estate professionals, as business owners, need to look at, is our dollar here more effective, or is our dollar here? Or is our dollar here more effective? If you are going to reinvest back in your business, at least invest in a good place. Right?
Yes.
So, Facebook. All right, well, we'll talk about Facebook in a second, actually. Okay, so with direct mail, I'll tell you, it's a little harder. This requires a fair amount of time and a little bit amount of cost. Well, the open house strategy. What's nice about this requires effectively, once you have it down, no time. Like you can have a VA run this, you can have, as long as you know what you're doing and once the ball is rolling and you have the right services, this can be done for extraordinarily little effort. However, the cost is significantly higher by comparison. So I lied to you. I don't think you can actually generate a client with only a $700 budget for direct mail. However, if you get good at this and you are willing to spend a little bit of time, and let's say you start doing one of two strategies around this. First of all, if you just send out postcards, I promise you your conversion is going to be extraordinarily low. But if you send out one of two things instead, you're going to have a significantly higher return and conversion. Who knows what those one of two things might be? CMA, home evaluation. There we go. So if I send out a letter and I say, hey, Stephanie, my name is Devin Tryon. I am a local real estate agent and I work a lot here in the Makakilo area. I was running some numbers on your house and I'm sending you your current home's value. Looks like it's around $1,150,000. I work this area a lot and I was curious if you've had any thoughts of selling or if you would consider an offer at that price point. And it is a direct letter to Stephanie about the value of her home. It is not just some blah about something that nobody cares about. It's not just a bunch of pictures about homes that aren't even here on island that are stock images. It is directly to you. And because of that, and who knows how much that letter costs to send?
Oh, can you repeat what you just said?
It's a home evaluation letter, basically stating your home is worth this much. Would you consider selling at that price?
If you go through, get a CMA for each house.
We're gonna get to that. Yeah. Good question.
Maybe
Yeah.
$2 each letter.
About it depends on who does it. So are you having a company, a mailing service send it, or are you sending it? But you should be able to get this about as low as $1. And then there are resources where you can pull their home evaluation. You could just pull the Zillow address, and you could print out the Zillow. So we used to print the Zillow screen capture. We would put like a little sticky note on it saying, hey, would you sell for this price? And then we would circle the CMA value, the Zestimate. And so if you do that, you're gonna have a way higher conversion compared to postcards. And you could send out 700 of those, about $1 a piece, telling them their home value, and you will have a response. The next thing.
You have to make an individual postcard for each address.
Correct. Yeah. You gotta do some work. Nothing's free. Yeah. But there's ways. Like once you kind of get it going, there's ways where you can scale it and automate it, which is a whole nother class. And then the next item though, who knows what the next item might be outside of that home evaluation that could have a very high return.
I got a buyer.
Actually, that one does have the highest return. So if you specifically have a buyer for an area, just sending out a letter saying, hey, Stephanie, I have a buyer looking to buy for a 4-bedroom in Makakilo, in Kahibelo. Would you consider selling to us? I think this would be a great home for them. You will get an insane amount of responses. And especially, here's a pro tip. At the bottom of your letter, if you write, if you're not interested in selling, could you let me know either way, please? Because now they're reaching out to you and it gives you a chance to engage and have further conversations. And then the next thing is just handwritten mail. Handwritten postcards, or not postcards, but handwritten letters. Yeah, just almost like a wedding invitation. It kind of comes in a square. Do you have one of those with you? Yeah? I don't. It's okay. I'll bring some next week and I'll show you guys what it looks like. But basically there's a bunch of companies that will do it for you, and it'll cost as low as about $2 a piece, and you can send out handwritten mail. And it's a machine that writes it for you. If you choose a great audience and you have the right message, and that message is relevant to the consumer. So it's not like, hey, I'm interested in Makakilo, and you're like, what are you talking about? I live in Manoa. That obviously doesn't work. So it's got to be relevant. I would put you should probably be able to get about a 5 to 8x ROI from this lead source. Meaning you put in $1, you get a lead, you sell the house, and you get out $5. $5, $5, and it has about a 180-day turnaround cycle. And so the more you do this, the more you scale it, the more income you can make. All right, let's keep going. All right, so we covered open house strategy for $700. This you're probably going to have to spend about $2,500 per transaction, I would guess. Depending, as long as you do a good job. To answer your question though about automating it, it is a little challenging. You do have to pull up the individual home valuations, but here's the thing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Because what happens when Autumn, I send you a piece of mail, and let's say you live in Manoa, and I tell you that your home is worth $900,000, but you live in Manoa, and we know there isn't a single thing in Manoa worth less than $1 million, at least. Is that owner going to have some type of response when you tell them your home is worth either more or less? Yes, they are. And what does that response usually mean? What are they going to do?
Call back.
They're going to call you, and they're going to say, Chris, my house is actually, I have solar, and I have this, and I have that, and I have this. My house is worth so much more than $900,000. And you say, really? Wow. Yeah, I didn't realize you had solar. I didn't realize you had this. That's amazing. I mean, if someone brought you that offer at 1.3, 1.4, would you look at it or would you just throw it away? Well, I wouldn't throw it away. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to be up the road. Can I come check it out myself? Sure, why not? So now the conversation starts. And that is how you generate transactions. Sometimes telling them what their house is not worth will get a better response than telling them what it is worth. Give it a try. Let me know what happens. All right. Next one. All right. I have an insane amount of data around the cost of these, around the production, or around what turns into what and how it all works. So you've got online leads in general. There's 3 big players in this game. Who knows what they are? Zillow, number 1. Number 2. I kind of lump it there. Yeah, they're almost the same. Very, very similar. Yeah. Who knows what the second one is?
Market leader.
Market leader. What's that?
Market leader.
Close.
Upcity.
Upcity, not
Sync.
quite.
Sync.
Sync. Well, you're onto something, but Sync isn't the source.
Oh,
Sync is just the whatchamacallit that runs it. Come on, you guys got this. You see it every single day. Every single day. There we go. Second one, Facebook. Okay. The local, same, yep. And then so, like all those other ones, the Agent Pronto, Upnest, all of them, most of their leads are either generated from here or the very last one, which is Google. Otherwise known as pay-per-click. All right, so let me break this down. Imagine you have a funnel of business. Okay? And all of the leads at the very top of the funnel, there's a ton of them up here. Tons of them. They're so cheap. They cost nothing. I mean, we're talking pennies, dollars a lead. Then you've got the middle of the funnel. There's a little bit less, and they're a little bit more. And then you've got the very bottom of the funnel. And then you've got like what I refer to as like the super expensive ones. All right. So up here, who can guess what this is? Facebook. Why Facebook and why not Google?
Facebook, you can target, pick your target audience.
Okay, close. Onto something. Why are Google ads more effective than Facebook ads? So let me put it this way. Facebook is what's known as a push marketing platform. So what that means is when you go on Facebook, everybody who's running Facebook ads will just blast them out to these random audiences, right? And there is no action from the consumer, for the most part, to say, I want you to see my marketing campaign. You haven't done anything other than maybe you've liked a poster here or there. And so for that reason, just about everybody in the world sees Facebook ads. And there's nothing wrong with that, but the The conversion is extremely low because most people aren't buying a house. Whereas Google, it's not pushing it out to everybody, it's polling. When do you see a Google ad for real estate?
After I search some products.
When you search for real estate related topics. So, think of it this way. Every single person who sees a Facebook ad is just kind of, they haven't searched for real estate, but Google lead ads, Google pay-per-click, they have. They have specifically gone on Google and said, best realtor in Hawaii, best houses for sale in Hawaii, what is the best website to find homes for sale in Hawaii, Honolulu best realtor. All of these things are what people search for. And so that's why Google pay-per-click is also more expensive. So Facebook lead ads are going to be anywhere from $1 to $5. Google pay-per-click, depending, there's a couple different ways you can run it, whether it's a pay-per-click or, we're not going to get into that, but you're looking at really from probably 5 to about 50 per lead. So a little bit higher. Who knows how much Zillow leads cost? A pop.
1,000.
1,000? No. Zillow leads per piece, how much? What do we?
60, 150.
There's one person in this room that probably knows the answer. What do you think, Steph?
I know you're really
Oh.
talking about Zillow.
Shame on you, Steph. All right, that's okay. You're probably going to be around. I think we run about $427 a pop. Ooh. However, Zillow leads are pretty good, aren't they? They didn't just go on a website. They didn't just see an ad. They specifically found one house and said, I want to see it, or I have questions about this house. Now, do you get in that category a lot of people who may or may not ever buy? Oh, of course. But the conversion on Zillow, depending on your skills, you're going to be anywhere from 1 to 10, 1 to 20, maybe 1 to 50, 1 to 30. Meaning you buy 1, you close 10, or you buy 10, you close 1, you buy 30, you close 1, whatever it is. Facebook, you're probably going to be around 100 to 150. Big difference. Google, you're probably going to be about 50 to 100, meaning you need to buy 50 to 100 Google leads before one close. Now here's the important thing to know. These will typically close right now. That's why we spend an absurd amount of money on these leads, because I know that if we are the #1 ranked team on Zillow, which we are, and we spend the most money on it, which we do, just about, then we are going to get the most closings today. Because these leads are looking typically today. And if you've implemented a lot of systems around this, like we have in follow-up and nurture things, you should be able to get this down to 1 out of 10, 1 out of 5. Meaning every 5 deals you close, every 5 leads you close 1. And so you're spending maybe $2,000 per closing, but if your gross closing, if you choose the right price points in the right markets, and you game it in this way, you should be able to trade $2,000 for $10,000. And you should be able to do it quick. Bah, 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 bah. And so you want to make sure, and the challenge with these is you need to make sure that whoever's answering these calls are really, 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 really good at it. Because if they're not really, 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 really good, somebody else will take that call and close it, and then Zillow likes that person better. Right. So with that being said, if you guys are all new at this and you're trying to implement this as one of your lead strategies, I would recommend this guy here. You could probably take a 2 or 3 hour YouTube video. You could learn everything you need to know on this. However, here's the downside. You are going to need to call and follow up and text and email and set up e-alerts for 50 to 100 people in order to get your 1. So you may only spend anywhere from $500 to $2,500 for that 1 transaction, but you're also going to spend a lot of time. You're probably going to spend an hour per lead. And so if this is broken up over the period of 3 months, 2 or 3 months, you're probably going to be working this for 5 or 6 hours a week for a couple months before you get that one. Whereas at least the reason we focus so heavily on this, and we do it all, it doesn't matter. But the reason this is better is because at least you don't have to spend the time. And so it's always this trade-off of cost versus time, and finding that balance of where are you in your business. Do you have the budget to spend $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a month, or do you have $500 or $1,000 a budget? You have to decide, and that's not a one-size-fits-all answer. And maybe it's you work a little bit of this and a lot of that. But just know, if you don't do the follow-up with any of these, no matter what, we still have to follow up with these leads 3 to 10 times to close them. Same, even more with these guys. So if you're not doing those follow-up efforts, you're not going to close any of them. So that means the most important aspect in this is actually your follow-up. Because that is the one thing that if you don't do, everything else fails. You can do all this stuff amazing, but if you're not actually reaching out, you're never going to close them. All right, so we covered conversions of open houses. We've covered conversions of direct mail. Oh, the most expensive one down here, does anybody know what it was? The $4 sign symbols? Who can guess? Most expensive lead source. Like most expensive by far. No, we just, what?
TV commercial.
No. Well, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I have never dabbled in that.
In person?
Nope.
Referrals.
Referrals, why? Why referrals?
You gotta get between 20 and 35%.
Yeah, because you might sell, you might make a you might make a $20,000 commission. And just like that, 5,000, 8,000 of it gone. Yeah. So when people say Zillow leads, Google leads, Facebook leads are too expensive, I say, well, you're willing to give $5,000 for a referral. Are they really that expensive?
Yeah, that's right.
I don't really even like referrals that much anymore. Yeah, because it's like, if I take a referral and then if one of the agents on the team take it, then it's like 25% and then the agents get less. Yeah, but here's the thing. What's nice about it though is it's not upfront cost. So you are able to control your overhead and your business expenses and still generate lead flow. And that's the issue that every single person in this room probably has, is you don't have enough lead flow. You're not talking to enough people, you're not following up with enough people, and you don't have enough leads coming in. And it starts with, you need to have conversations out the get-go. You need to follow up with everybody you meet, and then you need to add leads to your business. And so if everybody here is like, oh, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add this, I'm gonna add this, stop adding water into a bucket that has a big old hole in it. So think about everybody, make a note, how many people are in your CRM right now? Just write it down on a piece of paper. How many people do you know on Island? Don't roll your eyes, I know you know. Come on. How many people? What do you guys think? I want to hear some numbers. 500. Okay, nice. What else? Who has more than 500? Let's see who has the most people in their contact list. Who thinks? Yeah, sure. Why not?
I have like 3,000.
3,000? Does anybody have more than Gio? How many do you have, John? Yeah, but how many do you have? Yeah. All right, everybody look. How many contacts do you have? Let's see who has the most. How many you got?
2,800.
2,800? Does anybody beat that? 2,800. 3,529. So here's my question. With every single one of your SOIs, you should be having conversations quarterly, minimum of 90 days. So who here has spoken to every single person in their CRM in the last 90 days, even if it was just a text? Come on. I'll go for it, sure. Yeah. Who here has spoken to every person in their CRM in the last 90 days? Not a single one of us. I have. I have sent mass text messages to my entire database The last one I sent was 60 days ago for a beach cleanup. To every person I know. Every single one of them. And it was easy. I remember that app I talked about last week? I just kept pushing the button for like 4 hours. It worked perfectly. So here's the thing. Before every person here says, I need to add Zillow, I need to add Google, I need to add this, fix the hole in your bucket before you add more water. And it doesn't mean you have to reach out to every one of those 28, 50 people, but you should at least know who's important and who's not. And when I say who's important, I mean who is the type of person that's going to send and refer you business and who is never going to. And then, once you've done that, you should probably start scheduling some form of way to keep in touch with them on a monthly or a bi-monthly basis. And the easiest way to do that is just host events. Spend $700 and host a stupid event. I don't care what it is. I do not care. Give me an idea of the stupidest event to invite people that you can think of.
Dinner at Morton's.
Dinner at Morton's. That sounds like a very stupidly expensive thing to do. Yes, that's a good example. Yeah, I don't care what it is. You need to reach out to every single person and first host an event. Spend less than $700, and then invite every person you know.
Invite them to high five.
Invite them to rock climbing. Exactly. Invite them to a yacht club.
They're too old.
Invite them anyway, because it doesn't matter if they show up.
Where to walk?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're in a wheelchair. You invite them rock climbing. I promise you they will get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I thought you were 21.
And when you do this, what ends up happening is now they start thinking of you as a real estate professional. And they start remembering that you do this. And if you do this every 60 days, every 90 days, forget all of the other stuff that I just talked about. If you do this, you will not only be more profitable, you will save money, you will have better relationships with people you know, and you will get more referrals than you could ever imagine. You do this 3 times in a year, and your business will be unstoppable. And if you skip this, and if you're constantly trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it, you are always going to be, it's like a sinking ship. You're always trying to scoop water out. But you can never get above the water line enough to pass the hole. So once you decide, you know what, I'm going to fix the issue first, because the problem we all have is what? You don't have enough leads, you don't follow up with them enough, and you don't have enough conversations. But when you decide that you're going to have conversations, you're going to follow up, and you're going to do it the easy way, meaning, do I actually personally call and invite any of these people? Absolutely not. No way ever. Absolutely not. That would take way too long. I download an app, and it goes out automatically, and I have it text 10,000 people at once. Yes?
Will you make an extension for like high-end clients to personally call them to invite them?
Yeah, you could, yeah. Well, I'll typically have like what I refer to as my A-listers, and these are people that I will like invite to other things. But I still just text them just because it's easier to do it. Yeah. For events.
Because I'm saying, if I'm just like, for real estate related, so I can look at that or should it just be like, this is a party, I'm just inviting everyone that I know?
I see, good question. So his question is, should it be more real estate focused or should it be more like anything else? And here's the answer. Doesn't matter. Because if the alternative is you don't do it, that's way better. Now, you don't want, like, you're a younger guy, so you don't want your older clients to think all you do is party and hang out. But older people party too.
Yes.
They do. They do. And they probably want to go to the party more than the other younger people do. They probably are excited about the invite. And so, what I recommend, what we found a good niche doing, is something that's a little bit more charitable. beach cleanups is very easy for us because Lexi, our amazing marketing manager, runs everything so it's done, and all we have agents have to do is just invite people. So Chris invited, can I tell so Chris had this lead, no idea where it even came from, doesn't matter. Never spoke, phone call, circle dial. So he met this lady, circle dialing, probably looking for a buyer for one of his listings or something. And I didn't know any of this was happening, it doesn't really matter. But the day of the event, Chris texted me and was like, hey, what's her name? Sarah? Yuka, is Yuka there? I was like, yeah, I just met Yuka. He's like, who's that? And he's like, I don't know, I've never met her. And I was like, well, who is it? And he's like, I don't know, it's some lady I just cold called and I invited her to the beach cleanup and she came. Turns out she's the owner of Eggs and Things, the business. A very good person who apparently loves beach cleanups. And now is friends with Chris. And they have a relationship and they're gonna work on selling and buying one of their condos. How much effort did it really take? Did you just text her the invite?
Yeah.
Okay, so you randomly talked to this one person, you sent her a text, and that was it. That was it. That was it. And so that's why having somebody that can even if you do it, but having somebody that can host these events and put it on, all you have to do is just mass text your farm, your area, your sphere, you will generate more business than you ever need. That's it. Good job, everybody.